Am I the asshole for potentially ruining my classmate's career? I, 20 female, am a college student. In my country a lot of students hunt for internship cause it helps in getting a better pay package during placements. I've been casually talking with this guy, R, who's also my classmate. He was all friendly at the beginning but started flirting recently. I never once flirted with him and always just ignored his moves, but last week he asked me out and I said no. In fact, I apologized to him to have him think that somewhere in our conversation I might have led him on. He ghosted me and I didn't think much of it. But 2 days later, he texted me again, asking me out. I told him that I already said no, to which he replied he gave me time to think over and that I should be grateful for it. NGL, I got pissed and told him to F off. And he got pissed and called me all the names under the moon and just slut-shamed me for it. I blocked him but he made his friends to cuss me out too. I got super frustrated and called him out on my story along with attaching the SS of our chats. Around 300 people saw and one among them is placement mentor, 4th-year student. I didn't think much of it cuz after the story as I blocked them all and went ahead with my day. The placement head saw this kind of behavior unacceptable and appalling. So he reported this to our department head. Apparently in my college, this kind of behavior is labeled as harassment and punishment can lead to suspension. The department head, DH, and placement mentor called me to DH's office to get my statement and I did. I showed them everything. Well, he got suspended for 3 months for his behavior. He was about to get a very good internship in a gov company, but since he got suspended that internship is also gone. Our Professor P loves him and he called me to his office to go and make another statement to DH that I forgive him and there's also wrong in my part. Our DH called me, R, his parents and our 2 professors, P and Q. DH asked me if I'm willing to forgive him. This will get him off the suspension. Somewhere inside of me wanted to see him suffer, so I told him no. I was harassed and I want him punished. His mother berated me in front of everyone saying that I'm the one who led her son and I'm doing this purposefully cuz he's my competitor. And her son is the victim here. DH didn't listen to her and gave R his rightful punishment, well, at least according to me. Well, now, our internship started and few of my friends said I took it too far. He just called me names while texting and I got him suspended for that. Some of my other classmates called me a bully and asshole for ruining his bright future, and Professor P called me outside the class today and told me that he's extremely disappointed in me and it's because of girls like me. Potential careers of men are ruined. This actually made me cry and I'm rethinking whether what did was actually extreme. So, Reddit, am I the asshole? Not the asshole. Well done to your mentor and DH for stamping out this behavior. You should raise a complaint about Professor P, whose behavior is appalling. It wasn't you that affected R's career, it was R with his harassing behavior. But I can see you might not want to make this last any longer than it already has. You didn't ruin his bright future, he did that all by himself. Harassment is a serious offense. He should have known better. If you'd have let him off the hook, he would have suffered no consequences and learned nothing. If he's lucky, he will learn from this and get his head on straight. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Abusers rely on the silence of their victims. If he didn't want to get kicked out for harassing other students, he shouldn't have harassed other students. Not the asshole. He destroyed his life. You didn't. You were just victim. You owe him nothing. You did nothing wrong. There is nothing a woman can do to lead someone on that justifies being harassed. Even if you had flirted with him, but you didn't, and then you said no and he did this to you, he would still be 1000% in the wrong. You also probably weren't the first woman he harassed and likely won't be the last. You were just the first to stand up. Forgiving him and allowing him to get away with it would just accept his behavior and likely make him more aggressive toward women since he would feel like he could get away with it. It doesn't sound like he even tried to apologize, so them asking for you to forgive him is ridiculous. He likely has no remorse. What? This professor had the nerve to say because of girls like you. He needs to be reported. Not the asshole. He can recover. However, what he did requires repercussions or he'll keep doing it. Not the asshole. I am so sick of this. What about his future? BS. Maybe he shouldn't shame and harass women for not going out with him. Sounds like you have prevented yet another male chauvinist who would have only used his power over women working in a government job. What he did was in fact harassment and wrong. Who knows how far it would have gone had you not put him on blast. Good for you for sticking up yourself and not letting others pressure you into doing what they think you should do. He got what he deserved. Not the asshole. These men are abundant on our nice guys. You aren't guilty of any wrongdoing. Dude should have just sat down and ate his food in silence. Woman shrugging. Glad your school body stood up for you, he had a bright future, is the same shit they pull on rape victims, etc. and is utter BS. You didn't lead him on, you were nice, cordial, friendly. These types of men take that as wanting sex, and get childishly upset when the women say no. Shocked Pikachu face. Women don't owe men anything. Okay sign. Am I the asshole for accidentally seeing my roommate's girlfriend naked? Alright, let me give you guys some context before jumping into the situation. I'm a medical student, and to make ends meet I share an apartment with my roommate, whom I'll be calling Adam from here on forth, not his real name. He's also a student in the same university, but in different fields. He's coursing civil engineer. That being said, we never had problems before in the 3 years we've been sharing the apartment. In truth, I spend most of my time in the school hospital from our university and only really go home to sleep, or spend the weekend. I believe this is the reason we don't have many issues. Anyhow, Adam has been in a relationship with his girlfriend for the past 2 years. I barely exchanged more than a few words with her since we don't really see each other that often, but she seems like a nice girl. Regardless, now to the situation at hand. This weekend, I had the option of accompanying a professor of mine and his residents in their night shift in the As you would assume, that's a golden opportunity to learn, and there was absolutely no way I could pass that up. Thus, I made some arrangements and was able to be on their shift. This shift started at midnight and ended at noon on the next day, Friday, Saturday and Sunday, Monday. As you would expect, that was definitely different from my usual schedule, which is 8 to 8, due to classes and some extra internships. This past Monday, I was exhausted after shadowing them and helping them out for their whole shift, and just wanted to get home and collapse on my bed. As I was just getting home, I thought I would eat something before sleeping. That's when I went to the kitchen, to be surprised with the image of Adam's girlfriend butt naked drinking something. As you would imagine, both of us were quite startled, and I immediately turned around and went to the living room apologizing like crazy. There was no way for me to know she was there, it was an accident. I didn't hear anything, only the door for his room closing up after she ran there. Well, it's a delicate situation and I understand the embarrassment. Regardless, I was tired and even forgot to eat. Just decided to go to bed. I slept like a brick, but when I woke up, I noticed many calls and messages from Adam. I read through them, and they were essentially all asking where I was or if I was awake. I left my room to talk to him after that, thinking something could have happened. Hoping he was alright. Well, here's the thing, he wasn't looking for me because of something he needed my help with, rather to scream and shout at me. That I was an asshole for not telling him I was going to be home during the day. That I was an asshole for coming that time and that I had embarrassed his girlfriend. Now, I understand that the girl felt bad, but hey, this is my house, right? Regardless, I wanted to know, am I the asshole here? Not the asshole. Basic House Rule 101. If you don't want people to see you naked, don't walk around naked. How difficult is that? You are his roommate, not his kid. You don't have to report to him when you'll be home. This is your place as much as his. Not the asshole. This is my home too and I will come and go as I please. My schedule is unpredictable, so your guests should be clothed in the common areas if they don't want to be seen naked. Not the asshole. It was an honest mistake. There is no way of knowing she would be walking around your apartment naked. It's your house, not hers. So I don't know why they think you're in the wrong for just walking into your own kitchen. You left the room when you realized she was naked, it's not like it was intentional. Even if you're not home that often, people should know better than to walk around someone else's apartment naked. She knows her boyfriend has a roommate. That's on her, not you. Not the asshole. Tell Adam you don't need his permission to be home. He needs to tell his girlfriend that you live there. Not the asshole. What person walks around naked in a shared apartment that isn't their own? You live there too and have a right to enter the communal areas. I'm surprised she didn't even hear the door. A normal person would have scrambled to cover themselves. Heck, should have been wearing something in the first place. Obviously not the asshole. If she doesn't want to be seen naked, she shouldn't be naked in common areas in the middle of the day. Not the asshole. It's your apartment every bit as much as Adam's. Unless she lives there, she's a guest, and she should behave like one. Guests don't walk around naked in someone else's home. Tell Adam to stick his outrage where the sun doesn't shine and tell his girlfriend to Either not walk around naked, or b. Get used to the fact that you could be there at any time if she decides to do so. You absolutely do not need to adjust your behavior to accommodate his guest. If he has a problem with that, well, you should look at changing your living situation and finding a reasonable housemate. Not the asshole. Adam has gotten a little too comfortable with being alone in your place, and needs to be reminded that you're on the lease, too, whereas his girlfriend is not, and is a guest in your house. You don't owe him your schedule, any more than he owes you his. Am I the asshole for not calling out my son for treating my daughter badly? I have 2 kids, a son Ben, 44, and a daughter Emma, 42F. Their father and I divorced when they were young. He wasn't a good husband, but he isn't a bad man. He is wealthy. He didn't bond with Emma and he favored Ben. It became overt as they grew up. Ben was easier than Emma and did well in school and sports. Emma, although smart, wasn't interested in school and was rebellious as a teenager. Their father spoiled Ben and, if I'm honest, he wasn't nice to Emma. This upset her and she would cry, feeling unfairly treated. I felt bad but I couldn't do anything about it, so felt it better to pretend it wasn't happening and hope it got better. It didn't. He wanted nothing to do with her, although there wasn't a reason why. Emma struggled to cope with this and I think expected me to stand up for her, but I hate confrontation and her father never listens to me anyway. I preferred not to discuss it with Emma and focus on other things, but she said I didn't allow her to be upset and didn't validate her. I didn't want to potentially cause a bigger rift and cause Ben to side with his father. Ben, on the other hand, was lavished with anything he wanted: money, cars. He was expected to be successful like his father. As adults, the relationship between Ben and Emma fizzled out, which was sad, but I couldn't do anything about it. Despite being given a large amount of wealth and more opportunities than most, Ben hasn't become successful and he is quite resentful about it. His father stopped giving him money a few years ago and he partially blames me because I told his father that he had given him too much. Despite being an easy child, Ben has grown up to be rather difficult. He has a temper and is very sensitive about his lack of career success, so we aren't allowed to talk about it. Emma is a stay-at-home mom. She's a good mom and her children's father earns a lot of money. Her father was regretful, so he reconnected with her. They have a relationship. It's quite superficial, but I think it healed the wound a bit for Emma, so she reached out to Ben. They got along well for a couple years, but Ben stopped speaking to Emma. Emma was upset and thinks it's because Ben doesn't like their father's interest in her. Ben hasn't given her an explanation, but he told me a silly reason. That doesn't make sense. I told Emma I think Ben has behaved very badly. She asked me if I told him that. I said no, and she shouted at me that I have never stuck up for her or protected her, and if I can't do it this one time she doesn't want a relationship with me. That I enabled this behavior at her expense and she's sick and tired of it. The thing is, Emma has 3 kids and Ben has 1 kid. Emma will still allow me to have a good relationship with her kids, but Ben has made it difficult for me to see his kid in the past when he is angry, so I'm afraid he will do that again and stop speaking to me. I also don't want to be forced to be in the middle of them, so I won't do it. Am I the asshole? You are the asshole and so weak. I feel for Emma. You are the asshole for being a total failure as a mother to your daughter. You allowed this behavior by not sticking up for her. So what if you hate confrontation? Does that give you a right to emotionally abandon your daughter and be a silent accomplice to her abuse? You are terrible, and if I were her I'd never speak to you again, since you just want to suck up to your son for the sake of being grandma. I hope Emma cuts you all out of her life. You've all failed her. I felt bad but couldn't do anything about it, so I thought it'd be better to pretend nothing was happening. You failed your kids. You failed them by letting them be treated so wrongly. YTA. Parents like you are why we adult kids go no contact. Shame on you. For someone who has been able to notice and observe your daughter suffering, and has had the intelligence to ascertain why, your unwillingness to address or even discuss this ongoing issue is quite shocking. Your daughter is absolutely right. You've invalidated her feelings this entire time and ignored the problem in hopes that it would magically go away. The fact that you're still more concerned about Ben's feelings says a lot. He wasn't just your ex-husband's favorite kid. You are the asshole. How did you write out this whole story and still have to ask if you're the asshole? You are. You are the asshole. I felt bad but I couldn't do anything about it, so felt it better to pretend it wasn't happening and hope it got better. I preferred not to discuss it with Emma and focus on other things. I also don't want to be forced to be in the middle of them, so I won't do it. Info. How are you not ta? You are the asshole. You know. At this rate the bio dad is a better parent than you, and that's saying something. Yeah. He's an asshole for shunning his daughter and preferencing his son only to swap because coddling Ben made him a brat. But he's still in some fashion trying to fix things even if superficially. Meanwhile for you it has always been me, 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 me. You didn't want confrontation. You didn't want to acknowledge the problem. You didn't even affirm your daughter's struggle or comfort her for it. You just did nothing. You're a do-nothing parent, and if Emma realizes that she'd be better off cutting you off then I hope it happens soon because she clearly deserves better than you. Your support for her is contingent on what's easiest for you. Wow, there's a lot of nothing I could do. Assuming there's no abuse hidden here. What exactly was stopping you actually parenting your children? You are the asshole. Am I the asshole for refusing to use someone's preferred pronouns? Hi, all. Throwaway because several people I know use Reddit. I am a 27-year-old trans woman. I came out at 14, and over the years I've gotten a wonderful group of friends, just about all of which are LGBT and supportive. It's become a club of sorts, and occasionally we get new members. It's pretty much customary in our particular circle to introduce ourselves with our pronouns. We have several non-binary members, so this is very important to us. Recently, a friend of mine introduced a new member, who we'll call D, 25, and B. After everyone introduced themselves, D told us their preferred pronouns were it, its. I immediately got uncomfortable and didn't really refer to them for the rest of the evening. It wasn't that D was unpleasant, in fact they were wonderful and very funny. I have a little bit of history with being referred to as it, especially since I went through bullying in high school that used it as an insult. So I find it demeaning to refer to myself and other people that way. I felt bad for not respecting D's pronouns, so I took them aside and explained the issue I had with their chosen pronouns and asked if they had an alternative I could use. They didn't really give me an answer, just got angry and left. Later, the friend that brought D along sent me a message saying that D was very hurt by my refusal to use their pronouns and that they've been talking to other people in my friend group about it. No one has really made a stink about it, but I'm starting to feel much more guilty about it. Am I the asshole? Soft, you are the asshole. This person's pronouns have nothing to do with the trauma and bullying you yourself faced in the past. This is about it, not you. Asking it to change its pronouns because it makes you uncomfortable is no different than someone misgendering you or using the wrong pronouns for the same reason. It does feel odd to use it as a pronoun for a person, but if you're going to honor everyone else's, then you have to honor its too. Edit. Thanks for all the awards and upvotes. I am glad to have been able to put into words what others are thinking. I wince as well when I see someone with it pronouns. The history of that pronoun is so dark. But we need to respect people's pronouns. If it wants to be called it, then we should call it that. No matter how uncomfortable that is to type. I am required to say you are the asshole for voting purposes, but please don't think I think you're some kind of monster. Nah, but it is hard to handle. I would have a difficult time using that pronoun. Not the asshole, I know that I'll get downvoted for this, but hear me out. I've seen a lot of people here saying that opt misgendered D using they, them pronouns. They, them are gender-neutral pronouns. They can be used for anyone, hence being gender-neutral. If you are uncomfortable using it, it's then use they, them. Everyone uses they, them when the person is of unknown gender, or talking about someone casually. You cannot misgender someone using they, them. I didn't realize people use it, it's for pronouns. It would be hard for me to use them from a grammar perspective and sounds like an inanimate object. They, there is completely different. Not the asshole. I'm sorry, but someone wanting to be referred to it sounds like a way to become a victim on purpose. I cannot believe all of the YTAS here. The term, it, being used as an insult to mock trans people is hardly an experience specific only to OP's experience. That was something people fought against for decades. Calling trans people it, an object, non-human, has a specific history. Not the asshole, you get to be uncomfortable about a word historically used to devalue the trans community. Not the asshole, I have a feeling I'll be downvoted for this, but here goes. In the English language, the word it has never been used, to my knowledge, to refer to a human being. It is used when referring to inanimate objects. I understand feeling uncomfortable calling someone it, but if they insisted, I would simply not refer to them. That's all. Be blessed, X.